And next up, podcast listeners, we have the dumbest bill in America. And do we have a lead up, Mr. Producer? Here it is.
Dum 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 dum.
And it's the dumbest bill in America, and it is vaccination without consent. That's right, vaccination without consent, and that is of children. Senate Bill 866, State Senate bill in California by Senator Scott Wiener, appropriately named Scott Wiener. We've had Scott Wiener before as the dumbest bill, and he keeps giving more dumbest bills all the time. Senate Bill 866 would let children over 12 get vaccines without parental consent. Without parental consent. That is right. All vaccines, but specifically, naturally, it's extended to COVID vaccines. A new bill, this is in Newsweek, hardly a right-wing magazine. A new bill has been tabled in California that, if passed, would allow children aged 12 or older to receive COVID-19 vaccines without the permission of their parents. Currently in California, minors aged 12 to 17 cannot receive a COVID-19 vaccine without parental consent. However, there are some exceptions. In San Francisco County, those 12 or older can consent as long as the healthcare provider reasonably attempts to notify their guardian and allow them the opportunity to object. That's a distinction without a difference, right? Oh, wait a minute. Son, come on in. I'm going to give you this. Oh, let me try calling your parents first. What's the number again? Oh, sorry. I got the voicemail. I tried. Here's the jab. In California, minors do not need parental consent to get the human papillomavirus, HPV, that's how you say it, the HPV or hepatitis B vaccines. Again, in California, a minor already doesn't need consent to get the HPV or hepatitis B vaccines. Can you imagine? No parental consent. And so, State Senator Scott Wiener, very appropriately named from San Francisco, put Senate Bill 866 in, and Richard Pan, Democrat of Sacramento, co-sponsored it. If passed, the bill would allow vaccine providers to give doses to children 12 and over without permission from their guardians. Under the new law, it would not be a legal requirement for parents to even know that their child has received the vaccine. So what could go wrong there? When you take your child to get a vaccine, let's just say, and your child gets the vaccine the second time because your child doesn't tell you because they don't want you to know, or for whatever reason they don't tell you, who knows, they're kids, that they already got the vaccine itself, not the booster, but the vaccine. So now they have two vaccines. What could possibly go wrong? Oh, nothing at all. Way to go, Senator Scott Wiener. Speaking of which, KPIX, CBS in San Francisco, the local CBS affiliate in San Francisco, interviewed Senator Scott Wiener, and this was in 2019. Remember, in mid-2019, when this interview occurred, we did not have COVID. But Scott Wiener was already talking about vaccinations without parental consent in California. He was already talking about it in 2019. Sure makes you wonder, right? Well, we have a clip of this, and here it is.
Right. So this bill, a few years ago, the legislature said you have to vaccinate your kids unless there's a medical reason not to. We then started seeing a small number of very unethical doctors who started selling fraudulent medical exemptions. And what the legislation does is it requires a sign-off from the Department of Public Health to say this kid actually has a legitimate medical exemption. So kids who need an exemption will get it.
Change that.
So that's Scott Wiener in mid-2019, prior to COVID, no one even knew what COVID was, talking about how bad doctors were faking vaccine cards. This is before COVID. And faking them for children because the parents didn't want their kids to get other kinds of forced vaccinations or what have you. You know, that's a whole different argument. But nonetheless, he's talking about that and saying the doctors are bad because the doctors are faking it. Meanwhile, he wants to allow children to get these vaccinations without any kind of parental consent. And this is the same guy that keeps putting in crazy bills. So the bill would lift the parental requirement for the age group, as mentioned, 12 and older, for any vaccine that has been approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, which includes, of course, the COVID-19 vaccine. In the United States, the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine is the only inoculation that's been approved for 12 to 17-year-olds. Oh, what a surprise. We should call him Scott Pfizer Wiener. Vaccine consent laws vary across the country. Why they do, I have no idea, by the way. For example, Washington, D.C. and Philadelphia allow children aged 11 and older to be inoculated without their parents' consent. Idiocy. Alabama's age is 14. Oregon is 15. And Rhode Island and South Carolina set it at 16. I actually don't know that that's true. Because remember, this is Newsweek. So I'm not really sure I believe anything Newsweek says. But here's the thing, podcast listeners. In America, we have this thing called informed consent. In fact, we did an entire podcast on the term informed consent, which means that you must be completely and utterly informed about a medical decision, whether it's a shot or whether it's a procedure. And the idea is you get fully informed so that you can make a cognizant and good decision about your health. Children can't do that. That's why they have parents. That's why we call them children to begin with. And this guy, State Senator Scott Wiener, the bills he puts in, they're obsessed with children. Obsessed. I mean, this guy is sick. He even believes in like the whole man-boy love thing. So this tells you everything you need to know about this idiot in California, the appropriately named State Senator Scott Wiener. And podcast listeners, I want you to know this. I actually pull the bills up and read them. So this Senate Bill 866, as introduced, what I read is so that a minor 12 years of age or older, this is from the bill itself, may consent to a vaccine that is approved by the United States Food and Drug Administration and meets the recommendations of the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices of the Federal Centers for Disease Control and Prevention without the consent of parent or guardian of the minor. That is directly from the bill. We don't just read articles about these bills to you, we actually read the bills. And so here you have it. You have a sitting state senator in California that was talking about vaccines in 2019 and making sure that children as young as 12 could get those vaccines without parental consent. And now he has a bill in 2022, because this bill is from this month, January 2022, in the California state legislature that extends that to COVID-19 vaccines. And you as the parent would never know that your child got this shot. Never know. It's unbelievable. It's disgusting. It shows you the erosion of parental rights in California. And it demonstrates to me how we need to take back this country and how anyone remains a resident of California at this particular point in time. I have no idea. But hopefully, if enough people move out of California, the state will finally get the message that things need to change. Not sure else how to do it. I really don't. I'm not really sure. And that's the dumbest bill in America, vaccination of children without consent. And that's it for Mark and the Millennials. Thank you for joining Mark and the Millennials. This is Mark Fisher. Thank you to our producer, Christopher Hopkins. Check us out on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Parler, Rumble, and our website. See you next time.